Welcome to the podcast that discusses storytelling from all angles to help you and us answer the call when the muse screams, "Tell the damn story." We'll be exploring the challenges of being creative in fiction, illustration, comics, film, and nonfiction. Today we focus on the characters. How do we get across intent and how do we use it to tell the damn story? Here we go.
I was going to say also that, again, you're right. To me, certainly, the character intent and an emotional history or the personal history, anytime I can add some of that to the Blackjack tale, to me, really builds more of a tangible experience in a way that a lot of stories about men of color, in particular black men of color in this situation, a lot of stories about them are shallow. He's got muscle. He can blow this up. He can screw that girl. He can talk trash. And it sort of plays on that level. How he's bad. He's bad. And we don't get into, okay, if he's that bad, why? What's his history? I feel like sometimes you need more than two-dimensional representations of anybody, white or black. And certainly women. I mean, don't even get me started on that. So to me, when I was doing Blackjack, when I first created and wanted to do it, how he spoke, since you mentioned dialogue, how he spoke, how little, how much, what he thought and felt subsequently affected what he said, and how little or how much. Even in his scenes with Tim Chang, Aaron's never said to himself, "I want to have a bunch of servants," or "I need to have a butler," and it needs to be somebody I can look down on, or anything. He never went there in his head. And so when he suddenly got one, okay, I got a butler, but I'm not really sure how I feel about this. And he's Chinese, and he doesn't like me, and I'm not really sure how I feel about that. And he then had to deal with how he felt about it. And so Tim Chang, same thing. Okay, I wasn't real thrilled with the fact that to get to America, I had to latch on to this mobster who's wealthy, but that got me to America. Now I'm here working for him. I can deal with that. But wait, now I'm property. The guy loses me to this dude with the house and everything else. I'm property, and it's this dark man, which I've never had to deal with anybody like that before in my life. So I'm not real happy about that. But my word was that I would work. I would do this. So I have to honor my word, but I don't really want to talk to him. And Aaron's going, I don't really know how to talk to him. So it affects the intent and the character dynamics affects the dialogue, what is said. And if all you're doing are two-dimensional characters, then they're only going to say those two-dimensional lines. So I think
you have to be true. You have to be true to your characters. One of the I have an ongoing argument with a couple of film buffs, and it deals with Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing." And throughout that movie, the Spike Lee character is only about getting paid. I gotta get paid. I gotta get paid. I gotta get paid. And he works in a pizzeria. Other people in the story get displeased with the pizzeria. They want to boycott the pizzeria. All that sort of stuff. But when push came to shove, Spike Lee had his character, the one who had to get paid. He had his character throw a garbage can through the pizzeria window. And for me, that threw me right out of the story because his character was only about getting paid. No way would he cut off his source of income. The guy standing next to him, Radio Raheem, definitely might have. Or one of the other guys who were angry about the pizzeria definitely might have. And that was one of the character moments I've used about serving the story, not yourself, And God bless Spike Lee and his career and everything, but that moment always frustrated me because I believe that Spike's character would have been the last one to do that. It rang false to me. And since we're talking about intent, it's again, character is plot, plot is character. It has to be what almost the sum total of your character's life up until that moment. You know, the
Mm.
reason why Blackjack could lead a village to victory is because of everything that he's gone through, especially as an African American character or a person in a very racist time. He has had to always continue forward, always fight on, never give up, and found his way to victory again and again. So you can believe in that illustration by Tim that he could rise above odds, including something as overwhelming as a tank to victory, you know. And it's again that it's such a mantra with me that you must serve the story visually,
Well,
storytelling wise.
well, I was also going to say, and Tim, I'd love to hear your
Mm-hmm.
take on this as well.
Right.
You don't, I mean, again, as an African American in this time, listening to in my head stories my grandmother relayed from her time period, and then the films and documentaries and everything else that you can look at. When an African American or black person made a decision about where their life was going to go, if it was as a domestic or a laborer, or if you were going to attempt to reach some sort of higher middle class plane, like in a Raisin in the Sun, if you're going to try and move on up, you knew that there were adversarial situations you were going to have to deal with, and especially if you're going to move into, let's say, an all-white neighborhood, a whole bunch of folk were not going to be thrilled about it, and you would have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. But you made that decision to move forward, and you were going to deal with whatever came at you at that point. I think in Aaron's case, he saw his father do what many would consider the impossible during that time period, the early 1900s forward. And so when Aaron makes his decision to follow in those footsteps, despite whatever, he doesn't really have a choice about, and I mean in terms of his own personal drive, he doesn't have a choice about backing up, changing his mind. It's, I do this or what? Carry luggage? Work hauling freight, moving people? What else am I going to do? I'm intelligent. I've traveled the world in ways many people of my hue have not. I know this much. Can I really settle for less? And again, this is me understanding the character. No, I can't. My sister says to me, "You pursue this life. I'm not going to be by your side hanging with you on this. I'm going to go set up my own life, yes, in America, as opposed to Europe or where else I could live. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my life there. You're going to make your life here. We're going to be apart as a family, and this is the only family we've got left. We're going to be living apart, but we're still connected. We will always be connected." And Aaron had to go, can I deal with that? My parents are dead. Our parents are dead. I really don't, except for Silas, we really don't have family other than the two of us. Am I okay with this? No, I got to do what I got to do. Okay, but somehow I got to try and figure out, is this going to work? And there are times when he's not sure how it works. And if it weren't for Mary being the person she is and also working to maintain that contact, he might have lost it. He might have actually wound up being absolutely on his own and alone. So I think, again, you try and stay faithful to the scenario that you set up, understanding that, like real human beings, something may come along in our lives to change our direction or force us to face, personal demons and maybe not win. But you try and stay faithful to, how have I been developing? How has this character been developing? And who are they? And would they really do X?
Right. And this is applies to all great storytelling. I mean, you think about Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, right? Scout is a kid. She should not understand the racial tensions in town. She actually doesn't. All she knows is what's right and wrong.
Mm.
Atticus Finch, against all odds, everyone in town wants him to dog that case, but he only ever has one direction he can go. He has to follow his heart, his soul. and one of the reasons why that continues to be such a classic is that those characters are pure in their intent. They are pure in their actions. And that's what we
And
have
what
to
about
look at as
right? And
storytellers.
right. I just wanted to hear, Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still working. I don't know if is the screen up?
Well, now it is up. I just want, we're talking about the character development intent and everything, and I was just wondering, you know, how your perception of things is affected by what the writer does, or just your own opinion on it.
Uh, that's an interesting question, Alex, that you would ask this thing. I would say, you know, when I am writing my stuff, I want it to ring true. So I go to every woman. My main character is a woman. So I went to a female coworker yesterday. I said, hey, look, I need to ask you a favor. She's like, what's that? I'm like, did you like Maddie's Rocket? She said, I loved it. I'm like, okay, I'm working on the issue too. Could you look at it before I take it to press? She was like, I'd be honored to. She was like, why? I said, because I'm not a woman. And I don't know. I have an idea of the way I think I want the character to be and to act, but I'm also clear that a woman might can give me some insight that I can't have. So I try to do my research, my background research.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Blackjack, I am actually illustrating someone else's story. So when I am drawing different stories, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is up on the screen.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, I get that we want Aaron to be a multidimensional character, but this is adventure. This adventure, that panel here slightly leans to left going right because I want to convey speed, and I want to convey that Aaron can ride that damn motorcycle. He sees something about to happen,
That damn story. Yeah.
and he can get there and he can get it done. You understand? So this is an action hero. So yes, we will leave it to Alex to start to add context of, oh well, his sister, he loves his sister, and he's so close, and that's great. I appreciate that. But we're here to show an action adventure character. This is pulp. This is action adventure. This is people. My mom and dad didn't get this when they were 10 and 11 and then 12. And before they leave the planet, I want to show them what it would have looked like. So that is Rocket. It's my intention to show them, hey, if there were spaceships and satellites and bug-eyed aliens around, this is what it would look like. Blackjack is in the quote-unquote real world. This is what it would look like if the Golden Mayor and all that, the whole thing would have gone crazy, and Marcus Garvey and his revolutionaries would have stormed into Warner and made the movie studios make a movie, action adventure, and got Oscar Micheaux to direct it. This is what it would look like.
Excellent. Excellent.
Name drop. Name drop.
It's not name dropping. It is not name dropping. It is because if we don't do it, it won't be done. It is necessary. And it's part of what visual Afrofuturism is. And I'm calling it visual Afrofuturism. I mean, I've had talks with John Jennings about what some people might want to change the name, for whatever reasons, which I won't go into. But visual Afrofuturism is the ability to see yourself as an Afrocentric person in the world, in the social order of things, and engaging all of the tension, racial, economic, political, the social elements to bring that brutality forward. So, for example, the guy who created James Bond was a veteran, and he was a spy. Ian Fleming was a veteran, and he was a spy. And yeah, I know they have this show out now where they talk about Ian Fleming's past life, but his way of coping with the war was to create James Bond. Uh, uh, Blackjack, I would submit, is a way of Alex coping with whatever issues he had, both positive and negative. He created Aaron. That's what he did. My intent is to take that character and make him multidimensional, but put that the archetype, that big brother who can bust through a wall, who's just as powerful as any other action adventure hero out there, but he's doing it in a time where it wasn't safe to do it. You know what I mean? That's intense. So yeah, he's multidimensional, but he's still gonna strike the pose. He's got to strike the pose, man. He's got to strike the pose. He's got to be heroic. He's got to be. It's adventure. It's fun. It's brutality and fun equals adventure.
And you thought he was just riding a motorcycle.
Well, it's got to
So
look good, man.
We have one more bit. You're correct, and all of that goes into writing. All of that goes into storytelling. All of that goes into visual art. Now we gotta put Alex on the spot.
you love doing that.
I do. It's one of my favorite things. Tim, remember that we had a challenge for Alex last episode.
Oh boy.
You had said that you wanted Alex to write a story or consider writing a story with Bo, the redneck character. I had challenged Alex to write a story where where Aaron is pursuing a case, and unbeknownst to him, his sister Mary has been called to help somebody. I said the location was Paris for some reason, and the challenge was that Aaron and Mary cross paths, and it is revealed that the villain that Mary is pursuing is working with Aaron Day. You wanted to see Alex work Aaron with the redneck, and now it's time to check back in and see how Alex is progressing with his challenges. You're on, Alex. What are you doing?
Oh.
Tell the damn story. Tell the damn
Okay.
story.
So again, working the way I work, I came up with an idea for the story with Mary, and I will say a little bit about that, but I will start off by saying I didn't feel I had enough really to roll into a good story, and that's one of the things that happens with me, is I may come up with elements and ideas that would go into the story, but if I don't feel I really have a solid path to walk, and I'm under a time constraint, I'm going to bounce back and forth with other ideas as well until I say, yeah, this one I can see more clearly, this one I can see the beginning and the end. Okay, I'm going to roll with that one. So with the Mary story, I felt that she would get, because Mary decided she wasn't going to, as I said before, follow in the path of, globetrotting and adventure and all that thing. She wanted to have a home, a base, that she lived and had a normal life. So she went, for whatever reason, which gets into another thing, she moved to the Southwest. And yeah, there's a lot of racism and so forth there. But she is living in this community, a predominantly black community, a portion of this particular town. And that's her life. She's got things going on there. And she gets a letter from a young woman who she knew when she and Aaron were growing up and living in various parts of Europe. And that person is in major trouble and reveals this to Mary and asks her, can you please help me? And so Mary does make her way to France and is going to help this person. And there is a point where her story and her mission, if you will, crosses Aaron and this gentleman that he's working with. Now, right there, my brain went, well, what's the mission? What is it? I mean, it's easy to come up with something for Aaron and blah, 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 but how would this guy that Aaron's working with cross over into Mary's scenario? And I'm still thinking about that. So because that's taking more time, my head would be, what's going on at that time period in the real world, and then build something from that. That hasn't happened up here yet. So I went to the Red story, and the things that I knew about Red was, he had definitely been alcoholic. He'd grown up in the backwoods kind of thing. Drinking and
Backwoods of where?
fighting and cussing was major part of his life. But there were also some
Alex?
things that were happening in the community that he lived in that was impacting on him. He was not considered very smart. He was not very skilled at much of anything, and even his peers would make fun of him, put him down, and so forth. And he was always in fights. So at a certain point, he took off, and he went out to prove that he wasn't an idiot and useless and so forth. And
Where
the
was he
only
from, Alex?
no, excuse me.
Where was he from, Alex? Where backwoods?
I
Are we
thought
talking about
about
the South? Are
Arkansas.
we talking about, is he American?
He's American, absolutely. Yeah. I'm
So
thinking I'm thinking Arkansas or somewhere in that region, Blue Ridge Mountains, that sort of region. I
so
did not lock in.
so he left from there to make his way.
Right. And again, like many others, you can leave and become something in a work scenario, blue collar working scenario, or you can leave and get into something military. And in his case, he got into something military that got him off in another country fighting in a war and eventually breaking off from that. Now, again, the complete story of that is a whole nother tale. So what I'm saying now, in terms of where I went with this, the person that left his hometown is a guy who drinks, fights, has been belittled enough that he's got a lot of anger pent up. And yes, the folks he grew up with, many of the folks he grew up with were bigots. So he's got that in him as well. It was a normal way of life. He winds up taking what Tim had said. He winds up in a country, in a scenario where he is leading a group of fighters of color. And I'm thinking somewhere in Africa, but I'm not, again, I would do research to pick a particular region or a particular cause, something that was actually going on around that time. So he's leading this group. Now, as far as he's concerned, like many other Europeans and so forth, when they received black soldiers in World War I in certain situations, everything they've heard is negative. So to Red, he's got these black fighters, and as far as he's concerned, these are colors, these are Negroes, these are whatever derogatory term he's ever used, and these people can't do anything. They're less than him, but he's stuck with them, and they're trying to tell him at a certain point when he's about to go into this battle that this is not the way to do it. You can't attack this way. You can't go against these people this way. It won't work. He doesn't listen, and he forces them into this battle. And what happens during that battle changes a lot of how he sees the world from that point forward. And I have an idea and a lot of stuff in terms of where I would go, but as a storyteller, I wouldn't drop that now. I would say wait until I write it.
Right. So of the two of them, does it look like you're going to be going with the Bo story?
Right now, I'm going to go with the story of Red, and I'm going to go with that because the story for me is richer in my head,
No
and I
problem.
have a time limit. I have a time limit.
Okay,
Yes.
so when are we going to see more detail or a couple of paragraphs? Next episode? 2 episodes from now?
I would say let's look at the next episode for some lines, at least an opening scene.
Okay, and I'll be doing the same with what happened to Cahill Ferguson. And Tim is working on his image that he's going to challenge us with. Next week or next episode, we'll see where we're going. You can get
Yeah,
in touch,
Tim?
or you can look in more of Alex's material at Alex Simmons Here and Now or blackjackadventures.com, both of them. You can see Alex Simmons on Facebook. You can even see Dark Angel on Twitter. Yes,
No, not Dark Angel. It's Blackjack AD on Twitter.
Blackjack AD at
Yeah.
Blackjack AD. You can see my work ChrisRyanWrites.com, Twitter at Chris Ryan Writes, Facebook Christopher Ryan Author, And Tim is dieselfunk.com.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, that is correct, sir. That is correct.
How about your Twitter handle?
Twitter is at Maddie's Rocket. And
How about Facebook?
Facebook is just Tim Fielder, or you can go Diesel Funk or Maddie's Rocket or Big Head Scientist. All those different things. I have numerous ways that you can contact me. Oh, by the way,
if you want to look at our work, if you want to check out our work, it's available at Amazon.com, both digital and in print.
So that's City of Sin, City of Woe, a Blackjack Buried Secrets, and Blackjack Shooters. And then Maddie's Rocket.
Also, I want to make one very quick announcement. I don't know when this episode is going to be going up, but Maddie's Rocket was nominated for 4 nominations for the upcoming Glyph Awards. And we'll see what happens.
Well, best of luck on that, and we'll see everybody on the next episode of Write the Damn Stories.
Yeah, get the title right.
Write the damn story.
Tell the damn story. Tell the damn story.
Oh, tell the damn story. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about writing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the next episode of Tell the Damn Story.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Later. If you want to hear more about the show or any of us, go to tellthedamnstory.com.
Yeah, just we'll have, Matt can see which one really works, but yeah.
Okay, let's start again.
We get your forehead. We're getting your forehead,
But it's such a majestic forehead, Dad. Don't knock it.
Okay, let's try it again. I'm sorry. I just need to
Actually, I was hoping to get some advertising here, some
There you go.